Hello everyone, it's Cherie. Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to share what I've been up to and do a couple on the video so you can see. I've got a lot of scraps from making journals, and they're all, basically long pieces here. And this is just a few. I have another pile over here as well. I've got a bunch, and then I've got a bin too that's got a whole bunch in it also. So my bin was getting really full, so I decided to try to use them up in some way. And I'm sure other people have done this before, but I haven't seen it. I mean, maybe it's out there, I don't know. So I just decided to make some little pockets by folding them over, and then I can use them in my journal, as needed or whatever. So this one is a double pocket, and I'm using my scraps, like pretty much everything that I'm doing. I'm just trying to use up my scraps or things that I haven't touched in a long time, just so it's not just sitting there and growing larger and larger. This has a little pocket on it from one of those waterfall photo albums. I tore the photo album apart, and then when I go to use this, I will either slip a photo in there, or I'll pull this out and then maybe collage on it or something like that. And then some of the pockets I am just throwing in just scrap pieces of ledger paper or whatever I have, so that when I go to use the pocket, I won't have to dig for anything. It'll just be there. So this was just a scrapbook page that I had laying around. This is a piece of acetate, or not acetate. It's the transparencies. That's what it is. And yes, so there's that one. Some I just folded it and just made a little pocket. Nothing super special. This one has a little tag. This is a card, a vintage card, and then I made that a pocket. And yeah, and then this is also a pocket, and I just put a little tag in there as well. So while I'm making these, I'm kind of thinking about, like, how can I use them? So I'm trying to, if I find images that I think that I could use to tell a story, then I'm trying to use those too. Like this one is just two little girls, and they're obviously having a tea party. And I have a daughter who has a tea set, so you get the picture. So if I do a journaling page about that, or even just her playing with a friend, I can use this pocket. This one's just a regular, I didn't do anything to it. This one, this got messed up when I was stitching it down. I went lopsided, so now it's kind of crinkled, but it's fine, I'll still use it. This is just a image from a vintage magazine that I had laying around, and I think it was an advertisement for a car or something like that. And I thought, well, if I journal about my husband, maybe a story about going to work or something that happens at work, I could use, this pocket and tuck my journaling about that story on the inside, and then maybe put a photo on the back side. That's kind of like my process. And some I just don't really have a story for. I'm just making them as I go along. This is an acetate piece here, which is also a pocket. I have some little acetate pieces here. I actually found them at a thrift store, so they're pretty sturdy. So I've got a few of those. And this is just a Project Life card. That is a printable linen and just a die cut. So there's a pocket there, and a pocket behind the Project Life card, and then there's also a pocket from the actual scrap. And like I said, I'm just kind of tucking little things here and there in them, so that when I go to use them, they'll already have it in there. This one likes to get stuck. So I'm just trying to use up these little pieces that I have laying around. This is obviously a sewing pattern piece, and it's just a one pocket. And then this one is a linen, and it's just nothing fancy to it. And then, oh, these are not done. Okay, that's something else. So, yeah, so I'm using these, and then I have, I just have a little bin of different fabrics. Oops, sorry. Fabrics and laces that are just scraps, and I went through, I have this binder, I'll show you, that is ginormous, and I put a lot of like printables that I either buy or are left over from whenever I do kits, and so I pulled a bunch of stuff from here. I think I'm going to take that out actually, and to try to use it up too, to go along with it. So yeah, so I see like I could use these on these cards and stuff, which I may do. So I've got that to work with. And it was, obviously you can tell, super overflowing, so I wanted to use this stuff up. I would try to slim it down. And these are some of the ones that I pulled out to use. And I got my washi tape, of course. And then I pulled some linens. I don't know if I will use a bunch of these, but you know, I may. We'll see. And what else do I have? Oh yeah. And then I have this tin. It's kind of like a, I kind of think of it as like a junk drawer for when I am working on a project and I'm lazy and I don't feel like putting things away, or I just don't really have a spot for it. And so there's a bunch of random pieces in here, just like lots of different scraps, different book pages, some vintage ephemera, fabric pieces. I mean, it just goes on and on. So postcards. So yeah, so I'm thinking I want to try to, or I've been using like this here. I would probably trim that down and fold it up and then tuck it in a pocket so that there is, you know, a scrap piece of paper in one of the pockets to journal on. So I could use that as a journaling thing as well. So stickers, some wrapping. I mean, this is really just like a hodgepodge of everything. Just some paper I glued together, a little card. There's even, looks like, some vintage ads in here, some stamps, some vintage paper, antique paper really. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just working on making a few of these pockets and using up my scraps and my stash, and I thought I would turn the camera on and hopefully it will inspire you guys to use up your scraps too. So I'm going to put this on fast forward because otherwise, you know, it'll take forever. So thank you. Okay, so when I was showing you the stuff I was using, I forgot to mention this little bin, so I'm just showing it here. It's just some things that I pulled out of my stash, just little bits and pieces and die cuts and things like that. So the first one I'm going to work on is cat themed. We have a little cat, and I'm always telling little stories about my daughter and her cat, so that little piece that I'm trimming down there, that was from a vintage magazine. And then that little kitten card is a vintage playing card set. I'm not sure what the game was, but yeah, they're super easy, simple to do. And like I said before, I like to try to do pockets that I know are going to be relevant to certain stories that I'm going to tell, or you know, things like that. So I was thinking I could stitch around it and then make that little kitty card a little tuck spot. And now I'm just looking for something to stick on the inside. And usually I'm telling stories about how my daughter is getting in trouble for messing with the cat. She's not intending to be mean, but she holds her the wrong way, or you know, something like that. And then I had this printable, which is in one of my kits in my shop, and it's just of a little girl in the corner. So I figured that it would be a good little journaling card to put in the pocket for the future. And I'm just backing it with some tea-dyed paper, and I'm not quite sure if I stitch around this one. Now my trimmer obviously needs a new blade, but I am hesitant to put a new blade in it because when it does cut, it kind of has like a little rough distressed edge on the papers, and I like the way that it looks, so I haven't changed out my blade yet. So I did stitch around it, and I'm just looking for a little piece of something to stick at the top. And there you go. Easy peasy. So you can do all kinds of fun things with these little pockets, and get your scraps used up. I made quite a bit, and that was the first one. And unfortunately, I had recorded like a little show and tell of all the ones that I made, but I don't know what happened to it. It got lost or got deleted by accident. So this video will end abruptly, which I apologize for. So this is another little image of two girls, and it's an image from one of the kits in my shop, and they're sitting on a tree, and I just thought that they were super cute, and I figured I could do like an outdoorsy story, something along that line. I mean, the images don't necessarily have to match the story, but I do kind of journal that way. And but not they don't have to all the time. So I'm just digging through my little bin of die cuts, and it's a mixture. I mean, a lot of them are old. Some are Tim Holtz, some are, I don't even know where I got them from. Some are K&Co. They're just die cut pieces. So I'm just trying to find something to go down in that little corner. And I really like that little flower pot there, because I felt like it went with the scene. And then a little label. So yeah, super easy. Doesn't have to be complicated at all. You just roll with it. And you don't, if you don't have a sewing machine, you don't have to stitch, you can just glue it. So I was thinking about using that as a tuck spot on the back, but I liked the fact that it had all those lines. So I changed my mind because I figured I'd probably use that card in the future. And I just went with one of those, just like I know it's, I can't remember what they're called, but just like a little flower description card thing. And tucked that other journaling card in behind it. So like I said before, this is my little junk drawer of whatever I have going on. Mess. It's just a mess is what it is. But that's okay. Sometimes messes are fun. So I'm just kind of looking through, picking out things that I think I may use and see if anything in this bin gives me an inspiration. And I was kind of thinking about using that, but I decided against it. So I'm just like, is there anything in here that I may want to use on a card? Is there anything I can base pocket? Is there anything I can base a pocket around? Just searching, and like I said, I've got all kinds of stuff in there, as you can see. And that is a book cover, and just pulling out different images and printables and book pages and whatever I think I can use on a pocket. And that is a advertisement from a vintage magazine. But I like the Fire King. You know, their pan set or pot set or casserole set, one of those sets, and I was thinking I could use it for cooking, and my grandmother actually just gave me a whole bunch of vintage cookware. So I thought maybe I could make a card out of that. And I'm not quite sure what. Okay, yeah, I went with this. I love this book. This is one of the cutest books ever. And the illustrations in that book, they're just so precious. So that was the cover, and I think I had stitched it, or I was gonna stitch it in a journal one time, or maybe I did and I took it out. I can't really remember, but either way, it ended up in my junk bin, so I'm gonna use it now. It's just so sweet. So I'm just using my ruler, possibly my scissors, because that washi tape is pretty thick. And I'm going to use just this piece to make a card out of. And I'll probably use the other piece in the future to make a card out of as well. Not a card, pocket. Keep saying card. I'm getting cards and pockets all mixed up. So I'm trying to decide what scrap I want to use, and I end up using that one. And I kind of wanted to make it somewhat of like a library pocket. So I just used my scoreboard because I sometimes have issues folding things straight. If you watch my channel, you know it's a thing with me. So I have this acetate, and I wanted to protect that that cover there. So I made a pocket out of the front cover there, and then there's also another pocket on the back as well. And then I just stuck a piece of just some paper that I had, random paper. And I think I was trying to decide if I wanted to, make a journaling card out of that paper. Now that is a antique piece of paper. It's genuine. I have quite a bit of them that are like damaged, or they're not very good condition, and I use them in my junk journaling and collaging and things like that. And there's some blank space on there, so I would be able to write on it or just put a photo or something on the back. And I was thinking that I liked the ridges along that antique paper, and I was thinking I could just stick it in there, but it was too wide, so I ended up having to trim it down because it doesn't slide in very smoothly. And I think I was trying to decide if I should stitch, and I did. I stitched around it. You can see it's from 1904. So I could probably put a photo even on that side and then journal on the other side if I wanted. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, just seeing if I should put a little piece of something on the top. And I think I stitched some and I stapled some. I did both. Yeah, so I'm using up my little scraps of fabric and lace and all that good fun stuff too. Yeah, stapled those. And there you go. Easy peasy. So that is the third one I think I did. This first one was the cat, the second one was the girls, and that was the third one. So now I'm just looking through that pile of printables that I have, and some are from kits that I've made in the past, and some are, I think, from other people's. Most of these are my kits, so. And just trying to decide. I really like these papers. They're little boy themed pages. Sorry about that. My daughter just walked into my craft room. Yeah, so it's a kit in my shop if you're interested in looking for little boy papers. So I picked this one out because I figured I wanted to do a card or a pocket for dedicated to my son, something that I could use if I'm journaling about him, because I have all this girl stuff, and decided I wanted to do a boy one too. So I'm digging through my little scraps again, and then I also had that illustration, so that was from a book page. That was a book page that I had laying around, so I decided to or thought maybe I could use that as well. So I really like those papers a lot. I like all the writing space on them. So I'm just folding it down to see if it will fit in the pocket. And it does. So I set that off to the side, and I was trying to figure out, do I want to use the boy or do I want to use the puppy? And I went with the puppy because he's just too darn cute. Plus my son has blonde hair. And I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I just really like the puppy. Yeah, so I'm just tearing it down to the size that I need it to be with my ruler. So if y'all have, like old book pages that have just been laying around and you haven't used yet, or printables, or anything really, you can use them to make little pockets for your future journaling. I think this may be the last one as well, which is number 4, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say that I did make more after this, but they didn't end up going on video. I think my phone cut off or something. So I wanted to back it just so it would be a little bit sturdy. So I had these old flashcard thingies that are pretty thick. So I just backed it on that just to give it a little durability. I think this one and well, I like them all really. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite. So I just stitched around there and made that a pocket and put a Project Life card in there and put my paper in there. So I can use that back side as put a photo on, or use it to glue down on a page, and then I just stuck this little scrap of stamps, and I think that does it. Thanks y'all so much for watching, and I hope you get inspired, and I hope you have a blessed day. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up.